I was giving a presentation, and there was a guy that he came to several events, and I noticed him, and he said something to me that made me realize that my words had influence and power. He brought a few people with him from a drug program, and when I spoke, he was influenced and impacted, and when he went back to his room where he was staying in a residential program, he decided that he was not going to use drugs anymore. But the guys that came with him, they continued. And so he spoke to them, and as a result of the transformation that he went through, he said, wow, listen guys, I've been where you are, and this is no longer you. And he said, they stopped using drugs. Now they heard me in their ears, but they heard him in their heart. And he started following me around, and I said, why? He said, you changed my life, but I changed their lives. And I realized then I have a voice too. And that really got me. I realized that everyone, we have a voice, we have a tribe. There's a frequency behind every voice, and that we have the opportunity to impact, to influence, and to transform others with our voice. And that stayed with me. And so from that time to this time, I was mindful of the reality that we all can speak, and that there are some people who will hear us in their ears, but there are some people that's your assignment, that they will hear you in their heart. And we have a responsibility to do that. I prefer public speaking. I love to talk into a recorder and have someone to transcribe it for me, because when I try to write what I'm thinking, I can't read it. I've asked my staff, can you tell me what I wrote here? And they said, no. So public speaking, it comes easier for me, and I prefer to talk into a recorder and have it transcribed rather than try and sit down and write. It's a difference between speaking for the ear and writing for the eye. Those are two different skills. The best tip I could give to any inspiring speaker would be to work on yourself, to work on the messenger first. I've seen a lot of speakers, and they focus on their message as opposed to working on themselves, the messenger, because who you are behind the words will come through in the spirit of what you're saying. And I encourage them to be the message, because people say practice what you preach. I say preach what you practice. And when you are speaking in an alignment with what your words are, and you're living from that place of power, that it will have more impact on the audiences that you're speaking to. Motivating and helping others means so much to me, because I am the recipient of words of inspiration and encouragement. I realized early on that another individual can take you to a place within yourself that you can't go by yourself, that you can't read the label when you're locked in the box. And so we all need external voices that can encourage us, that can inspire us, and that can give us a larger vision of ourselves beyond our circumstances and indoctrination, mental conditioning, and allow us to live out of our imagination as opposed to living out of our history. I would say to the younger Les Brown, you gotta be hungry, because we're in a system that is designed to hold you down. And in order to overcome that, when you are in a culture that is designed to destroy your sense of self, that you have to be hungry, you have to be willing to be all in and have the mindset that I'm gonna make it no matter what. No matter what you do, no matter what you say about me, no matter the odds or the adversities that I have to overcome, that I'm unstoppable. It's my destiny, and I'm going to do this. And that hunger, I believe it's a God force in all of us that will allow us to overcome the odds. There's a scripture that says, those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, that's right thinking, right words, right feelings, right actions, right relationships. Those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, they shall be filled. So most people die unfulfilled because they're living a life that's out of alignment with who they are. And so, but when you are in alignment with who you are, I believe that the universe lines up and provide and make room for you and your dream because you refuse to be denied. Yeah, the mentor that I've always had for 51 years has been Mike Williams. He's the author of the book called The Road to Your Best Stuff. And mentors are very important because you can't see into your own eyes. You have to have someone who has a trained eye. You can't see the picture when you're locked in the frame. Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer of all times, he said, I'm the greatest, but he never won a championship without Angelo Dundee. Michael Jordan, considered one of the greatest basketball players of all times, but he never won a championship without Phil Jackson. So it's very important for you to have someone in your life that can see what you can't see, that can take you to a place within yourself that you can't go by yourself and challenge you and stretch you and hold you accountable. I consider success living a life that will outlive you, the impact of living a life of significance, the transformative levels of speaking that allows you to transform people individually and collectively and allow them to go to new heights, to release what Elizabeth Browning called the imprisoned splendor. We all have it within us. But many times, because of the circumstances, because of the culture, because of how we've been indoctrinated and made to feel that we're insignificant, that most people don't go there. They don't live from a place of a larger vision of themselves, and they stop growing, they stop challenging themselves. They become discouraged and they learn to become helpless and powerless and don't feel that they can do more. And so when you are driven from within because of your purpose and your passion, you can do things that eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has entered the heart of mankind what God has in store for you. And that, to me, is being in service of humanity. The greatest among you will be your servant. And so finding a way that you can serve people and help them to get to another level, that to me is being successful, living a service-driven life. What motivates me is the desire and the hunger to make my mother proud. I believe that she's watching me, both of them on the other side. I'm here because of two women. One gave me life, the other one gave me love. I always say when I'm speaking that God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. And so I made a decision, a commitment that I would live a life that she would be able to say, that's my boy. I'm so proud of him. That drives me even now because I can feel a presence as I speak. I do feel more inspired in troubling times. That's when I'm able to call out a Les Brown that's back there watching and waiting. I have this affirmation that I say, no matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. And I think that Viktor Frankl, who wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning, he said adversity introduces a man to himself. And that's real, because when I'm going through some stuff, I believe in that saying, the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory, that it challenges me to call up a part of myself, say, come on, bring it on. I'm waiting for you. It brings out the beast in me, where I have this mindset, take no prisoners and eat the wounded, get the butter from the duck. Absolutely. I would change not being active for a period of time when life had knocked me senseless. And I didn't even know my name. Are you the motivator? No, I'm not. Somebody lied on me. No, my God. And so I set out for a long time. I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. I lost my best friend, my mother. I went through a divorce. I had a show that was canceled. And I stopped. I parked. And Maya Angelou said that most people go so far in life and then they park. And I parked for 14 years. And then my son challenged me, John Leslie, who's an author and speaker. He said, "Is cancer going to kill you? Are you going to die?" I said, "We're going to die from something, son." He said, "But is cancer going to kill you? Are you going to fight?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And I realized when he spoke to me that he was expecting me to fight, that I was a disappointment to him at that point in time because I was in the fight, but my hands were down and I wasn't throwing any blows. I wasn't fighting back. And I have this saying, if life knocks you down, try and land on your back, because if you could look up, you could get up. And there I was, life was counting 1, 2, and here I am on my back. And not only was I not looking up, my eyes were closed. But then my son asked me that question, "Are you going to fight?" That was jarring, and I opened my eyes. And I said, "Yes, let's get it on," as Marvin Gaye would say. I don't feel any pressure from it. I'm humbled by the fact that people look at me as a resource. And I believe that we all have the ability to do that. I'm humbled and I'm thankful that I can be a voice of encouragement and hope and inspiration to people. I know that it's not me. I believe that I'm a channel, that I'm being used as an example as opposed to as an exception. So I'm humbled by it. It's a spiritual experience. I feel that the connection that I feel with the team, and they bring the best out of you. It's not just coming in, it's not a transaction. You feel that they inspire you to dig deep within yourself, and they bring the best out of you. I've had a lot of films and interviews. I've done a lot of projects, but this project with this team has taken me to a place within myself that I could not go by myself. They inspire you to bring out your best. And I'm so glad to be in the company of them and to have them to capture some moments that I could never do by myself, or other individuals who are not tuned into me and coming from the same place of mastery that they have in terms of their focus and professionalism and capturing special moments with the camera or with the video. They're very special, and I love them. I want people to take away that they don't know enough about themselves not to have an expanded vision of doing more, having more, and experiencing more, and creating the next greatest version of themselves. That they should challenge themselves and push themselves and stretch themselves. That we are here for a purpose that many times it takes a long time to discover it, like in my particular case. And once you find out why you're here, they say the 2 most important days in your life, the day that you're born and the day that you realize why you were born. And being about the business of living from that place of power and knowing that you have something special. You have greatness in you. And when you're pursuing your greatness, you don't know what your limits are, so you act like you don't have any. And your goal and mission should be is to rob the cemetery of your greatness, of your gifts, of your leadership, of your voice, of your story.